Alton Towers has seen the birth and demise of several legendary rides, each leaving its mark and shaping the theme park we know today. From closed coasters and forgotten flumes, to departed dark rides and demolished flats, journey through time to unearth the tales of these lost rides, offering a glimpse into the park's ever-evolving history. Premiering in 1988 and costing the park £1 million, the Alton Mouse is the roller coaster with the shortest lifespan at Alton Towers. Officially opened by Kylie Minogue, it was situated in Talbot Street, behind the towers themselves. The bright orange track of the Alton Mouse was one of the 3 rides that made up the infamous Coaster Corner, close to the Flag Tower, in a now off-limits area. Manufactured by Vekoma, this Wild Mouse coaster featured a unique tilted lift hill. The unusual feature was due to a spinning tunnel enclosing riders at its previous home in Vienna. Starting with that tilted lift hill, the mouse-shaped cars climbed to 56 feet, reaching the upper level of the ride. This section was painted a deep green to camouflage with the surrounding trees. Riders negotiated a series of unbanked hairpin turns, causing strong lateral forces and the sensation cars were about to leave the track. Riders then raced through 2 swooping drops, separated by a 180-degree turnaround. More hairpin turns followed, before some bunny hills and the brakes. Unfortunately, the Coaster Corner area of the park was too close to the neighbouring Alton village, and noise from the coasters led to a number of complaints. The Alton Mouse was removed at the end of 1991. The ride was relocated to Idlewild Park in Pennsylvania, where it can still be ridden to this day. Costing £2 million to install, Thunderlooper was located in a previously undeveloped area of the park. Close to the car park, Thunder Valley gave visitors a reason to alight at the Skyride turnaround station. Upon exiting, they would see trains being launched through the giant loop of the Thunderlooper. When it arrived in 1990, the attraction had already spent a number of years at King's Dominion as King Cobra, opening there in 1977. Fondly remembered by many, Thunderlooper was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, launching riders through a vertical loop. Starting in the open station, riders boarded the trains and were secured with a simple lap bar. The train attached to a catch car that would launch the trains to 53 miles per hour. The launch achieved with pulleys and a dropping weight located in a tower below one of the spikes. Racing forwards, trains entered the vertical loop, completing a full inversion. Following this, riders would pull upwards, facing skywards, before momentum was lost and the train would fall backwards. The vertical loop would be completed again, and trains would speed through the station and enter another spike. Falling forwards, the brakes would engage and riders returned to the station. While a popular ride, Thunderlooper's fate was determined by one of the main problems faced by Alton Towers: planning. The ride was so tall even the loop could be seen above the tree line, something that the strict restrictions placed on the park do not allow. The attraction was also extremely noisy, living up to its Thunder name. Not only was this bothersome to local residents, but affected local livestock, causing them to calve at the wrong time of the year. The opening of the Alton Towers Hotel further compounded the noise issue, with guests getting an unwanted wake-up call during morning testing. The temporary planning permission was not renewed, and Thunderlooper left the park after the 1996 season. It was replaced by the relocated pirate ship the Blade and Ripsaw. After leaving Alton Towers, Thunderlooper found a home at Hopi Hari in Sao Paulo, where it operates today as Catapult. Originally featuring an extensive Superman theme, it has undergone recent refurbishment, securing its future. The Alton Beast, the New Beast. One ride, many names. One of 2 new installations for the 1988 season, the Alton Beast joined the Alton Mouse and the older 4-man Bob in Coaster Corner at the back of Talbot Street. Featuring dark green track and light green supports, the Alton Beast was the new star of the area. The ride was a Schwarzkopf Jetstar 3 model and was purchased by the park without trains. Black hole trains were coupled together for use on the Beast, and new trains were purchased for the older indoor ride. The Alton Beast survived the closure of Coaster Corner. After operating there for 4 years, it was returned to the manufacturer for refurbishment. When it returned, it sported a fresh red and white colour scheme. The ride was erected in Thunder Valley, running with brand new trains and an updated name, the New Beast. Riders boarded the two-car trains that could hold 12 passengers in line before they were dispatched around the perimeter of the ride, eventually reaching the spiral lift hill. The slow upward journey would deliver riders to the first drop. Trains raced downwards, reaching 44 miles per hour and entering a force-filled bank curve. Rising upwards, a loop around the lift hill would be followed by the second of the coaster's drops, leading to another bank curve before rising once more. The third drop then led to a helix, after which trains circled the lift hill again before the brakes. Time was called in 1997, and the ride retired at the end of that season, leaving a hole in the park that would eventually be filled by air. Many rumours surrounding the ride existed. The similarity of the spiral lift hill led some to believe it was the same model as the Black Hole. In fact, the Black Hole was a smaller Jetstar 2 model. It was also suggested that the beast erected in Thunder Valley was a different ride from the one erected in Coaster Corner. However, park maintenance staff have confirmed that identical track welds made in park were visible on both rides. Following the removal from Alton Towers, the beast opened at Divertido in Mexico as Space Mountain. That indoor roller coaster bore a striking resemblance to the Black Hole, its sister coaster at Alton Towers. The attraction's final location was a park in Colombia, where it operated as Tornado until 2017. Opening in 1984 and located in Fantasy World, the Black Hole was the first major roller coaster installed since Corkscrew and aimed to make a similar impact. News outlets reported exaggerated claims regarding the ride within, and advertisements showed trains looping around an asteroid. An air of mystery surrounded the Black Hole as guests snaked their way through the outdoor queue line before entering a large striped tent. Once inside, they found themselves aboard a futuristic spaceship, ready to climb into single-car trains. The trains took riders up a slow spiralling lift hill before plunging them into the Black Hole. Racing around high-speed turns, the darkness of outer space was briefly interrupted by laser beams and star fields. Costing £2 million, the Black Hole was a Schwarzkopf Jetstar 2 model, constructed inside a green and yellow tent. The attraction was an immediate success, with long lines forming due to the popularity and limited capacity of the single-car trains. This was rectified for the 1988 season, with the track being reprofiled to run with two-car trains. The new Black Hole would continue to thrill guests, and in 1996 received a slight retheme, featuring a gold and Jules Verne-style station. When Oblivion opened in 1998, the area surrounding it became X-Sector, and the Black Hole tent was painted a deep blue to better fit the new land. Being one of the earliest roller coasters at the park, by the turn of the millennium it was showing its age. The park had begun to install bigger and more elaborate custom coasters, the ageing Black Hole appealing less to modern audiences, with the last rides taking place on May 5, 2005. The roller coaster was dismantled the following season, its tent sitting empty. Occasionally used for Halloween Scarefest mazes, the structure was eventually demolished in 2012 to make room for the Smiler, the world's first 14-looping roller coaster. The Black Hole would make its way to Sweden as Rocket of Förvik, operating between 2011 and 2021. "1994 was a bumper year for Alton Towers. New owners to Swords were keen to expand on well-themed experiences at the park and add attractions that provided an immersive story-led journey. Thrill seekers twisted upside down on Nemesis in Forbidden Valley, while families could take a whimsical journey through a colourful toy factory aboard Toyland Tours. Guests would start their journey at the edge of the land of make-believe, passing a colourful facade and making their way into the factory. There they would find the SS Toyland Tours, a paddle steamer and station for the magical boat ride. Boarding one of the 9-passenger boats, visitors would sail past colourful scenes and many characters as they journeyed deeper into the factory. Colourful and chaotic, the journey was filled with toys of all sizes, humorous puns, and many memorable scenes. Ideas formed in the think tank, bouncy castles played on trampolines, and the Snail X-Tricks were ready for a race. After a brief interruption by Sonic the Hedgehog, boats emerged into the finale party room. Toy soldiers issued a fanfare, a mermaid sat atop a giant jelly, and house band Cool Cat and the Teddy Bears could be seen. Before riders disembarked, a busty hippo wished them a fond farewell. Toyland Tours was the retheme of the older Around the World in 80 Days attraction that had opened in 1981. This World Tour boat ride closed at the end of 1993, and its ride system was reused for the journey through the magical toy factory. Despite some effects not working in later years, it was unexpectedly announced that Toyland Tours would close midway through the 2005 season to make way for a replacement attraction. The following year, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory The Ride opened. This update utilised the same ride system. The water channel was slightly rerouted to create a new offload station, and 2 glass elevators were constructed as a finale to the experience. Charlie never seemed to capture the imagination of guests as much as its predecessor, and closed in 2015. The ride system reused a third time as part of the Alton Towers dungeon. The first roller coaster at Alton Towers, the Corkscrew, is the one that started it all. 1980 was the year that John Broome decided to open Alton Towers as the UK's first theme park, and the Corkscrew was the standout ride that helped him do that. Situated in Talbot Centre, the yellow double corkscrews of the Vekoma ride drew national media attention. Guests waited for hours to ride Corkscrew, and park visitor numbers doubled from 500,000 to over 1 million in its opening year. The Corkscrew became an unofficial symbol for the park, with its success paving the way for many future attractions. The train sat 24 riders that were secured with over-the-shoulder restraints. Trains climbed a 75-foot lift hill before rounding a 180-degree turnaround. Riders then plunged into the coaster's 68-foot drop, reaching the ride's top speed of 48 miles per hour. Rising into a hill and rounding a curve, trains dropped before entering the ride's signature double corkscrew element. Following this, the coaster would race through more curves and helixes before returning back to the station. For 1999, the festival park area was rethemed to become Ugland, bringing a prehistoric theme to that corner of Alton Towers. As part of this, Corkscrew received a slight update, with a few dinosaur bones and trains matching the Ugland design. Newer coasters had eclipsed Corkscrew's thrills, and 2005's new edition Rita pushed the ride into the shadows, hidden behind a massive queue line. Becoming a nostalgic classic, the roller coaster spent 28 years at the resort, closing at the end of 2008. When its time came to leave, the iconic double corkscrews were retained and displayed at the park entrance as a lasting tribute to the history of the resort. The location of Corkscrew became the station for 13 upon its opening in 2010. Born at a time when a simple flat ride still featured a massive marketing campaign, Submission replaced Energizer in X Sector for the 2001 season. The dramatic and intimidating motion of Submission was exciting to watch, and the visual appeal fit well in the area of the park adjacent to Oblivion. Featuring back-to-back arms, guests were seated in one of 2 24-passenger gondolas. These would rock backwards and forwards in a hypnotic motion, gaining height with every swing. The gondola rotated as it swung, picking up momentum and inverting riders at the top. Guests would be held upside down for a brief moment, before balance was lost and the rotation resumed. Unfortunately, while intimidating to watch, the ride never really offered the true thrill it promised, and the uncomfortable restraints further took away from the experience. Either due to popularity, maintenance or staffing reasons, in its later years Submission only ran one of its gondolas, which reduced the visual appeal somewhat. Even the opening of the Smiler in 2013 did little to revive the attraction's popularity, and Submission was removed from the park in early 2014, replaced by a grassy lawn. The site has more recently been used as a location for a number of the Retro Squad travelling funfair rides. Fresh from the success of the Corkscrew in 1980, John Broome knew he needed another headline attraction to capture the public's imagination and keep them coming back to the new theme park. The 1981 edition would be the Wild Water Flume, the world's longest log flume. This custom ride featured 3 drops and 2,600 feet of waterways as it snaked its way through the woods of the park. Featuring an impressive turntable station, guests boarded log-shaped boats for the 6-minute journey. After splashing down the final drop, they could even order an on-ride photo to be posted to their home address. In 1984, the dinosaurs displaced from Fantasy World were relocated around the ride, adding something to look at as the boats made their way through the woods. But by the early 2000s, the ride was looking rather tired. The log flume, as it was known by then, closed at the end of 2003, ready for a refresh, and in 2004 it opened as the Flume Unplugged. Gone were the brown logs, and in their place bright red bathtubs, complete with golden taps. Bath time with attitude was the new theme, and the Flume received bouncy new music, power showers, and plenty of rubber ducks. Boarding the bathtub boats, riders were dispatched, shortly reaching a long conveyor, raising them to tree height. A short drop delivered them to an elevated section of trough. Meandering through the woods, a tunnel would break up the long, slow journey. Eventually boats reached a second lift, entering a building as boats were raised upwards. The wooden structure contained the Flume's second drop, taking place in darkness. Floating past some illuminated scenes, a giant rubber duck would startle riders. Boats emerged and entered the ride's final lift, teetering at the top and plunging towards the lake below. The splashdown in full view of those who were waiting, creating a great visual spectacle. Those not soaked by the drop may be caught in one of the 2 showers raining water down on the boats below. Along with 4 other attractions, the Flume closed at the end of 2015. After sitting there for most of the following season, the Flume began to be removed in November. The area where it once stood would eventually be home to Wicker Man. If you look closely, remnants of the old log flume can still be spotted deep in the woods. Ripsaw joined the Forbidden Valley lineup in 1997, following the removal of the Thunderloop of the prior year. Benefiting from a marketing budget usually reserved for a major roller coaster, this Huss topspin was heavily themed, with a detailed backstory. Supposedly a piece of shrapnel thrown from the Nemesis pit, Ripsaw thrilled riders with a disorientating experience that often included a soaking detox. The 40-passenger gondola featured 2 rows of seats, suspended between arms that rotated to send riders spinning and flipping, before lowering them headfirst into a series of fountains, to the delight of onlookers. The attraction was an absolute hit with guests. Not only did it offer an exhilarating experience, the visual appeal brought a kinetic energy to Forbidden Valley. Despite being a fan favourite, the ride suffered from downtime in its later years. The number of programmes Ripsaw could run was reduced, and parts of the theming were removed altogether. When it was announced in 2015 that 5 rides would not open the following season, Ripsaw was one of them. The next year, the area that once held the must-do attraction became home to pay-per-play games, before becoming the site of Funk and Fly, part of the Retro Squad. One of the longest operating flat rides at Alton Towers, Enterprise began its life in Festival Park, added during the 1984 season. This travelling ride was initially brought in to absorb some of the crowds from the nearby Corkscrew, and featured a bright yellow and white colour scheme. Upon entering one of the 20 ride cars, guests were sometimes shocked to find that the ride featured no restraints. 2 riders could share one car, and the sliding cage door was closed and locked. Enterprise would begin to spin, with the car swinging out to the side, before a hydraulic arm would lift the full wheel skyward. Reaching an almost vertical angle, it was only the ride's forces that held guests into their seats. Enterprise would move around Festival Park, before finding a home in X Sector in 1998. X Sector was created with the introduction of Oblivion, and Enterprise received more muted colours to fit with the sinister theme. The spinning flat ride fit perfectly within the final curve of the park's new roller coaster. Despite a repaint and some new parts in 2013 for the opening of the Smiler, towards the end of its life, maintenance became more necessary, and downtime was extended past the winter close season. The last rides were enjoyed at the end of 2021, and Enterprise sat dismantled during the 2022 season. Alton Towers confirmed on Twitter that the attraction was no longer at the resort, ending a 38-season run at the park. The following year, that area of X Sector was used by Twistertron, itself one of the travelling funfair rides that made up the Retro Squad, before becoming an empty plot. For over 40 years, the attractions at Alton Towers have been thrilling guests, weaving their tale into the story of the resort. As the park continues to evolve, many more will disappear from the map, becoming part of Alton Towers' history, waiting to be discovered once more.